Hi everyone, this is Michael Nissim from Nahariya, Israel. Lately there's been a movie that came out called 7 Problems with PreTrib Rapture. My wife and I watched it in full and we thought we should respond to it. The movie was produced by people who believe in pre-wrath rapture as opposed to pre-trib rapture, and it's critiquing pre-trib rapture and promoting pre-wrath rapture. Just to quickly explain the models of the rapture, I'll show you this little scheme here. There are 4 basic models for the end times rapture. The pretribulational rapture, which means the church will be raptured before the tribulation, before the 70th week even begins. The post-tribulation rapture, which means that the church will be raptured right at the end of the tribulation and will have to go through the whole of it. Then you've got the mid-tribulation rapture, which is right at the middle of the 70th week. That view has been losing a lot of popularity. And the most recent view is called pre-wrath rapture, and that's the one that's been gaining a lot of popularity, many people moving to it from the pre-trib rapture model and from other models as well. Pre-wrath rapture makes a distinction between the tribulation and the wrath of God, and claims that the rapture will take place somewhere around the 3/4 point of the tribulation, although they don't know exactly when it will occur. These are the 4 different views of the timing of the rapture. Now, I personally don't have any emotional attachment to any of these views, although I do hold to the pre-tribulational rapture model. I was raised with parents who believe in a post-tribulational rapture, and in fact the pre-tribulational rapture model was always ridiculed in my home. I grew up with continued ridicule of the pre-tribulational rapture model, but for some reason it didn't affect me. Later on I said, I'll look into prophecy and see when I think this is going to occur. The 2 main views that I looked at are post-tribulational rapture and pre-tribulational rapture, and pre-tribulational rapture seemed to make the most sense. In fact, when I saw the basic arguments for pre-trib, I thought that would make the most sense from any other timing inside the 70th week. Now, many people have ridiculed the pre-tribulational rapture model. They say that it is escapist. The normal thing that you hear is, oh, so the church doesn't undergo anything? Well, the pre-tribulational rapture is not escapist, just as salvation by grace through faith is not escapist either. It is simply a scriptural view, although salvation by grace through faith is basic for salvation, and the timing of the rapture is not. But it is very important to emphasize that pre-tribulational rapture does not say the church will not go through any tribulation. The church has gone through tribulation throughout its existence. In fact, the church has gone through terrible tribulations, especially at the hands of the Roman Empire and the Roman Catholics. People who held to and promoted pre-tribulational rapture right from the beginning were not the kind of people to run away from tribulation. They were hard-working, fundamental Christians who went from village to village preaching the gospel and establishing churches. The whole movement that promoted pre-tribulational rapture is responsible for many missionaries sent out around the world and risking their lives for people's salvation. They are not the kind that say tribulation is not for us. However, the pre-tribulational rapture model does say that there is one specific tribulation, and that is the 70th week of Daniel, which the church will be spared from. That is it. The way to determine whether this view is true or not is to look at what the scriptures says and assess the different passages that deal with the tribulation and with the rapture. As I said, I don't have any specific emotional attachment to the pre-tribulational view. In fact, if anyone comes to me with a better view and says, Michael, I think you've got it wrong on this thing and on that thing, and shows me clear passages that shows my view is incorrect, I would have to reconsider pre-tribulational rapture and move to one of the other models. But this has not been the case. When people came to me with different arguments promoting pre-wrath, for instance, I found it very lacking. In fact, when I looked at some of the arguments, I thought, for this you're going to move to pre-wrath? This is why you believe in pre-wrath? It didn't seem to make any sense to me. Particularly one of the main arguments, the 6th seal rapture and the multitude in heaven, which I find to be no reason at all to move to the pre-wrath rapture model. Over time we've discovered other ridiculous views by PreWrath, such as that the Antichrist will be revealed only in the midpoint of the 70th week. Or another claim of the PreWrathers that the first half of the 70th week is not the tribulation at all. Or we've heard that no one comes to faith during the day of the Lord. And it seems like to justify a sixth seal rapture, they would sacrifice many portions of scripture and a lot of common sense. This is why my wife and I decided to embark on a series of recordings to address the pre-wrath rapture model from a pre-tribulational perspective. First we'll show some of the obvious holes in pre-wrath rapture, and then we'll basically present pre-trib rapture. I don't think that pre-trib rapture needs to be defended, rather it needs to be presented. It makes sense. But before I continue, I want to say something about PreWrathers. We generally consider PreWrathers to be sincere, Bible-believing Christians. We think that their timing of the rapture is wrong, but it's simply another model for the timing of the rapture. I think that in general you'd find that they are hearty believers who take their Bible seriously, and my guess is also that they are literalists like us, that they believe in a literal account of creation and in a literal interpretation of prophecy. So these are good things for PreWrathers, but we think that they're making many sacrifices to justify the pre-wrath model, and that they've got the wrong model, and this is what we want to address. So I don't like to say this because I hear this on so many videos, but if you want to get automatic updates about our videos, then you have to click the subscribe button. And yes, if you do like the videos, please press the like buttons. It's the thumbs up. It does help the rating to go up, and send it to your friends. We'll be releasing these videos over time. We'll see you soon, and may God bless you.